Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're here to tell you that you may miss wokeness.
No, don't think I will.
Okay, so this is coming from the Atlantic, and I guess
Of course it is.
the New York Times is talking about it too. I think these media outlets are going to miss wokeness because
That's what it is.
they can't really write about it anymore because it's over.
No,
I mean,
I want to make it clear though. There's a difference between being diverse, being organically diverse, being like what it was for years and years, and being woke. It's not the same thing. Like being woke, I would attribute to things like where you're deliberately, picking agenda points to hammer home. You're making choices based on check boxes and not on, what actually, is fair and would work. I think DEI wokeness actually hurts people. It claims it's going to help.
I think that if you would replace wokeness with religion and you would think it's propaganda,
yes,
then that's what it is. Basically,
that's a very good way of putting it.
Yeah, where you take diversity and inclusion to a laughable, cartoonish place where everything is offensive and everybody's offended, and you start making hiring and manufacturing decisions based on people's feelings.
And sometimes things that don't even make sense.
Some things that don't even make sense.
And look, that's when you become that. I don't think that everything that's diverse is woke. There's a difference. I want to make sure I make that very clear.
Yeah, because we're going to get people that are, oh my God, Clownfish. Well, here's the thing. We've even got the Atlantic. The Atlantic and the New York Times. These are two quote unquote woke papers that are saying it's over. It's basically over. And we've been seeing it. I just got done recording a video about Hollywood. And we're seeing what's going on in Hollywood right now, where a lot of quote unquote woke programming has been canceled.
Why is that? Because they're not making money?
It doesn't make money.
And because people are just over it. They're over they used to be able to control people like, oh, well, you're a bigot if you don't like this. They're not buying it anymore. Actually, they're not going to watch your show if people leading up to it are starting with that crap before it even gets, because they're just over it. They're tired of it. They want to go back to where it was naturally, organically diverse, and it was just good because it was good.
I think we've got two ways to look at this. We're going to have people that the vast majority of people that want things to just roll back to where they were. I'm not talking 1952, but 2002 would be nice. Hell, 2012 would be nice. But then we're going to have people on both sides, both extremes, who, hey, woke is good for business, even woke and anti-woke. It's good for business. You got to have a rallying cry, right? But I think it's just those voices are getting kind of drowned out by the tired, what do they call it, the tired middle.
Yeah. I just wanted to go back to the meritocracy and just, inclusivity that was there because it should be, not because you're trying to use it as a point to hammer home and slap everybody upside the head with. But anyway,
let's talk about this, because the fact that they're calling it a day, that the Atlantic and the New York Times and some other outlets are basically saying, hey, woke and DEI and ESG, all that stuff is ending. Harley-Davidson, they slammed the brakes on their DEI stuff. We know that there are several companies said we're not going to do this anymore. And then, of course, we got people that are like, well, they're still going to do it. They're just going to call it something else.
Well, that could be.
Maybe, but I don't think it's going to be as overt and obnoxious as it has been for the last couple of years. So before we get into it any further.
Too late.
We're already into it pretty far. But before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo.
Before we get into reading these articles, I want to play this. This is actually the Prime Minister of Singapore. I think it's Hsien Loong?
I don't know. All I do is think about the Singapore. Someone sent us a little thing.
Yeah,
we
a little
still
lion.
have it. We love it.
We do. I love that thing.
We love it.
Little lion. He lights up and it sings a little Singapore song.
We love it. Anyway.
But this Elon Musk posted this, and he's just like, yeah, wokeness is weird. This is the Prime Minister of Singapore. He's like, it's weird. It's a weird movement. Let's listen to this. It's like a minute.
A movement called Wokeness.
Wokeness.
Where you are super sensitive about other people's issues, and you become hypersensitive when other people somehow or other say things or mention things or refer to you without the respect which you or your super subgroup feel you are entitled to.
Feel you're entitled to.
Very extreme attitudes and social norms, particularly in some academic institutions, universities. You talk about safe spaces. You talk about
wow,
appropriate pronouns.
Pronouns.
I'm about to say something which may be offensive to you. If you don't want to hear it, perhaps you would like to leave now. And life becomes very burdensome.
Yes, yes, try living
I
here.
want to go in that direction. It does not make us a more resilient, cohesive society with a strong sense of solidarity. We must be more robust.
I agree.
Yeah, basically,
and the thing is,
yeah, your
and everything
feelings,
that they do this, and I think it has the opposite effect of what they intend. And a lot of people who are so offended by everything, it's not even, they're offended for other people that aren't offended themselves.
Yeah.
It's like they're looking for things, and it's never enough. Remember, what was it? Like when Critical Role, remember they had the one campaign, but it wasn't diverse enough because it was diverse, but it didn't include my specific subset. So I'm offended. And it's like, you cannot include every person in everything. There's just no way. But there used to be a thing called, being able to identify people with characters, with people that are different than you because you find commonality. And you're not allowed to do that anymore. It has to be, everybody has to be represented. And there's no possible way to do that.
I think what happened too is that we had some people that took it to the nth level, and it became cartoonish and ridiculous, and it actually turned, I think, a lot of people away from. Maybe people had legitimate concerns at first, but because they were so demanding and petulant, normies are just like, you know what? I did care about your feelings, but now I don't care. I don't care how you feel. I don't care if you're offended. I just don't care because it's never going to be enough.
Yeah, exactly.
And we can't run businesses like this, and Hollywood is learning this.
There's no solidarity there. There's no unity because you're too busy being divisive. And I think that's, that's true. And again, like people that it's meant to help, I think it's actually hurting because it gets everybody else so sick of hearing about it from people who aren't even usually identifying as the groups they're protecting, that they subconsciously start having some biases against people because of it. And I think it's actually that weren't there before. I think you're actually making the issues worse, not better.
Again, this is coming from The Atlantic, which was a pretty far left publication. And they're like, yeah, wokeness is over. They said wokeness has few defenders. Too many embarrassing episodes of language policing
I know.
have eroded support for the term. It's too bad because the progressive shift of the 2010s when attitudes on issues such as race and immigration moved left brought about many broadly popular developments.
Here's the thing, though. You guys act like it didn't exist before 2010. And I can tell you for a fact, you're full of shit. You are full of shit.
They're talking about, some of the diversity language not being very popular. It said material gains are often overshadowed by a focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs that probably don't do much good, or on demands to change how people talk, such as pushing the unpopular term Latinx.
Is it Latinx or Latinx? I never know.
I don't care.
The Tinkerbell, because I hate using it at all even to describe it, because I know people hate it, and I apologize.
Well, they were pushing back against it because basically you had Spanish-speaking people who were like, this isn't our language.
Right,
why are you forcing? Why are you, white Karen, forcing us?
Yes.
And then what happened was it became the Oppression Olympics. It was like every group was marginalized.
Sunshine.
Sunshine.
You ever know what Sunshine is? Go look up Sunshine.
There was I don't know what the video is actually called, but they were basically talking about, the diversity stack and the oppression stack. And it became like they sent this special needs guy Sunshine to like, some prestigious.
It was like for a math competition because he had all these check boxes, even though he wasn't the most qualified.
Was not.
Right.
Well, I can't call him a him because he was a they them too.
Was he? I don't.
He was
remember.
non-binary. Yes.
Yes, that's right. That's true.
Every grievance. So basically, what this whole thing did is it brought everybody out of the woodwork, even if they had legitimate concerns. They all came out of the woodwork with every damn grievance, and it did attract, in my opinion, I think it attracted a lot of mentally ill people too, who started taking, a lot of this and just sort of perverting it in some way.
Well, the thing is, like you said, they always come for you. They just eat you last. And that's what we're seeing. A lot of the people who were behind the initial push or really big mouths in the whole scenario, it was great until it came for you. And a lot of people virtue signaling to make sure they didn't get fired in comics and stuff. It was great till it came for you, right? Yeah. And that's how it is because it's never enough. Like these people, you need more, you need more, you need more. You have to keep one-upping everyone and showing how superior you are morally. And I think it was interesting that, when it came to like elections, you had Sarah Silverman saying she was like, you couldn't pass the purity test on the left.
Yes.
And I think that's what it is. It's always a purity test. And it just keeps getting, the groups keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And there's no way, unless you start saying that you identify in these other ways, that you can compete.
This is about this opinion piece, this op-ed piece in the New York Times. Wokeness is dying. We might miss it. And they talked to her, I guess, in this podcast, but they said that, yeah, they can see that many aspects of wokeness were counterproductive. But she does urge listeners to have more perspective on the animating force behind the ideological and temperamental shift and remain skeptical of backlash. Of course,
don't remain skeptical of backlash against it. There's a backlash against it for a legitimate reason.
Stupid.
For a legitimate reason. Now, look, I'm all for, organic diversity and inclusion. I don't think people should be, discriminated against based on, race, sexual orientation, gender, that kind of stuff. I do not believe that for a minute. And I have no problem with anybody who's different than me. The only problem I have is if you're an asshole. And the thing is, it's like, it went from, I think people should give an equal opportunity if they have the ability to do it. To people should get to do stuff they aren't qualified for just because they're the right color or, they use the right pronouns or whatever. And I don't think that's correct.
When you had people, Disney flat out saying that they would not greenlight very good shows.
Oh, yeah. They said it was a great show.
Yeah, they actually said there was
that was Dana Waldron, who's, in the running for CEO.
Supposedly in the running for CEO. But yeah, they said that they had some really great shows that they were pitched, but they were too white, so they couldn't greenlight. I'm like, yeah, but that would probably make Disney a lot of money. And I'm sure that there were non-white people that probably watched that show. A lot of the most popular sitcoms. Hell, The Cosby Show was one of the most popular sitcoms of the 80s, and it was almost exclusively black folks, but white folks obviously tuned in too.
There's shows all the time that were predominantly black shows. They had them all the time. All the time, and no one thought anything of it.
Half the shows he did,
Yeah, and the thing is, they were all good. They were good shows. I used to watch them all the time. I never thought, oh, I can't watch this because I'm white. Oh, look at that! Isn't that brave because they gave a black person a show? I never thought that. I was like, oh my god, did you see the new show by so and so? Will Smith always in the box office. Hey, did you see Will Smith's new movie or Denzel Washington's new movie or Halle Berry's new movie or whatever? And you're like, yeah, oh my god, did you see it? It wasn't like, yeah, I went because they're black and I have to show solidarity. It was like, holy shit, that looks great. Let's go watch it. Men in Black, hot damn. It was like that.
You better block the entrance to the theater so no white people can get in during the first showing.
What was that from Black Panther?
Black Panther.
Yeah.
Well, she said she thinks it's overinflated. We'll go out to this original article too, but she said rather than something that bugged people or seemed obnoxious, it had to be totalitarian.
Yes.
Had to be something that was remaking all the systems of our society, which I don't think was true. That actually, no, it was true. The problem with wokeness is that it did really start remaking everything, especially when it came to any institution that was predominantly left wing. Once it was infected with, as Musk calls it, the woke mind virus. And I guess we can call it this now because you've got the New York Times and the Atlantic saying it's over. Woke is over. And they're calling it
even saying that kind of was overused and it might have had a good idea at heart, but it didn't work out. It wasn't done in such a way that was going to be helpful.
Yeah. They said at various points, my fellow reporters at major news organizations told me roads and birds are racist. She writes, voting is racist.
Yes,
exercise is super racist. Yeah, even allowing for 2020's great flow of social justice clickbait. These are misleading and reductive caricatures. And that was true. They had math is racist. Exercise is racist.
My personal favorite is if you're not white, you can't be racist. I'm like, bullshit.
Yeah. So they said that and this is going to segue into Harley-Davidson, by the way. So plenty of companies are reining in their rhetoric. In some cases, action on issues such as sustainability and diversity, said a recent Business Insider article titled Woke No More. So the Business Insider is saying it's dead too. Diversity, equity, and inclusion departments briefly prized are being dismantled. The backlash is real. And I mean in ways I've actually never seen it before. Yeah.
Companies wouldn't do that unless it did not work out, unless they lost money, unless it caused internal issues. They're losing money. They're not going to waste their time and money. If it was working, they wouldn't be getting rid of it. They're getting rid of it because it's costing them money. They're getting rid of it because they might have hired people that were not as qualified, but they had the right, check boxes. And that's not to say that somebody who has check boxes isn't qualified. That's not what I'm saying at all. I think there's a lot of people who are highly qualified who get passed over because they aren't vocal enough. And I think there's a lot of reasons. But if it was making them money and if it was succeeding, they wouldn't be getting rid of it.
Yeah. And they're actually referring to it now. This is what's interesting. The Atlantic is actually referring to it as a social movement of the 2010s. So we're looking at
it's like the PC movement, but on steroids.
Yeah, we're looking at wokeness in the rearview mirror. And I don't think it matters even so much. I mean, a lot of people are concerned about, who's going to be in office this fall, but or next year. But I don't know if it matters. I think the general public, even people
Who's
on the
even
left.
in office now?
Who the fuck is running the country? We don't even know. Right?
Continue.
But I'm just saying, I think even on the left, they are admitting, this was massively unpopular. Why was it massively unpopular? Because everything was racist, everything was misogynistic, everything was homophobic, everything was problematic.
Well, even people that were Gamergate people, or people that was in the early 2010s that were behind a lot of the stuff that when it started, they're even coming out and being this has gone way too far. There's logical argument, and then there's this batshittery, and that's where it has gotten to. You can't say the word spooky because somebody's offended because back, 50, 60 years ago, it's just getting ridiculous.
Yeah, and they're saying that a lot of this, the content warnings and the policing of microaggressions.
Oh my gosh, everything's a microaggression.
Because you couldn't do anything. You couldn't live. You couldn't breathe.
You still can't live and breathe. They still come at you. You don't like my show, so you're a blankety blank blank blank. You're a Nazi. You're a whatever. And I'm just sit and spit. And it used to work. They used to control people. They used to be I don't want people to think I'm the terrible person. Yeah. Now it's you know what? They don't care anymore. Fuck off.
I said, even if it could be sanctimonious and grating, I fear we'll come to miss the progressive urgency that marked the Trump presidency. No, nobody's going to miss this. Nobody. I'm telling you. Not a damn person is going to miss this. Even the people that are quote unquote woke now, 10 years from now, they're going to look back on wokesters and hipsters current year as affectionately as people in the 80s look back on hippies. Basically, they're crusty and dirty. And what the hell was I thinking? See, Family Ties. Right? It was kind of we had the right idea, but God, that was embarrassing living on the commune and doing the
there's
hippie,
a lot of kids that are in
thing.
college now that 20 years from now, they're going to be slapping themselves in the face. What was I thinking?
Fuck was I thinking?
Yeah.
Right? Harley-Davidson's the latest one. Now, we haven't been covering this, but they're just they're no longer going to have DEI functions. We did this with John Deere. We're seeing it.
Oh, they're focusing on retaining their loyal riding community. And I'm going to tell you right now, people who ride Harley-Davidsons, they aren't all white, straight, and male.
No. But there are a lot of them.
No, but I'm just saying, but I'm just saying, there are a lot of customers who aren't. But, you don't have to be, people are fed up across the board. It's not just, those white, straight guys, they're just mad about it. No, everybody's mad about it. Even people that they're supposed to be representing are sick and tired of it. They're just could we just go back to normalcy, please?
This is what I don't understand. Yeah. This should be unless you are a Ben and Jerry's or something where activism is part of your brand and has historically been part of your brand, right? I'll give Ben and Jerry's, even though now they're owned by Unilever, but I'll give them a pass because they were hippies that made ice cream and they made activism part of their brand. It goes with the territory, right? You buy the ice cream, we give money to whatever charity. Whatever.
And I don't necessarily think that businesses shouldn't, if they start out that way and they want to do good and that's their business, no pun intended. But, everybody knows that's what they do. It's the people that come into it now because they're trying to win, brownie points or financial incentives for having big DEI programs, which is what this was about.
Yes, because it looked good and it looked good to the investors and it looked good to But they said, as a consumer brand, this is a statement from Harley-Davidson. We will focus exclusively on growing the sport of motorcycling and retaining our loyal riding community. In addition to the support we already provide to first responders, active military members, and veterans. A lot of brands that catered to a certain demographic of military and veterans and farmers and whatever, they were basically we don't want you anymore. We want I'm sorry, I don't think in the case of was it John Deere? I don't think they have a lot of demand for John Deere tractors in Portland. No. Call me crazy. Considering some people out there in Chaz, they think you can plant a farm by throwing some dirt on a piece of cardboard. Yeah,
I don't. The seeds are going to grow right away. They're
going to grow right away.
I mean, or we can will it to grow. Look, it's basically what I'm hearing is hey, what we decided our brand's going to focus on what our brand does, and our customers, what we've had for years that are loyal, instead of, chasing imaginary customers and initiatives that just, don't work, cost us money and cause division. Common sense.
Common sense. Oh my God. Yeah. So yeah, I think we're going to see this all over the place. I think that, there are going to be people that are going to be pissed off for a while. I think we're going to have another group of people that are going to look for wokeness where it's not really woke. But we got to kind of just look, push back. And that's the problem with this is because you became such a damn caricature.
That's just it. It's just a joke.
Then you've got people that are getting caught up in that net too, who maybe just want to live their lives and not weigh in on this shit. But like anytime you're like, hey, maybe you shouldn't make, racist jokes in the workplace. That's not very nice. Oh, you're woke.
Yeah, no, that's, yeah. There's a difference. And that's why people keep missing. Not everything that's, common sense and progressiveness is wokeism. And then there's a difference. I don't like using the word woke, as you know. I'm only using it because
they're using it. They're saying it's dead. It's dead. So we can fucking talk about it. Woke is dead. So, and I think we're going to see a lot of this. I think it's going to take a while.
It's going to take a while for some of these brain dead people to catch up to it.
Right. It's going to take a while for a lot of these brands and studios. And like I said, this kind of goes along with the Hollywood one I did, where they're kind of coming out of the woke hibernation state where they were all
basically they lost money.
They lost money. Let's
they made bad decisions, killed brands, lost money.
They lost money, and now like, hey, that didn't. Maybe we shouldn't get all political. And look, my way of looking at it is if you have a business, right? It doesn't matter if your customer base has blue hair or wears a red hat, as long as their money's green.
Yeah, right.
That's what should matter, right? Unless you're an activist, based business or something, and there are some companies that have been, they've had an activist bent since pretty much day one. But that's not your brand. Pivoting to that right now, not a good idea.
No.
It's just not a good idea. Just make the best whatever the hell it is that you make for the largest amount of people. Take care of your customers and shut the fuck up about politics.
Yeah, pretty much.
We're going to wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.